For the past week, I've seen a lot about the Brock Turner case and his sentencing on just all of my social media accounts. The whole thing has been very interesting to me, primarily because it's the same 4 or 5 links that I've just been cycling through various feeds with, very, very similar commentaries. Things like, rape is bad, Brock Turner is a rapist, Brock Turner is the devil incarnate, Brock Turner should be given the death penalty. But with that said, I'm not here to talk about Brock Turner and what he was convicted of doing. I believe that what happened was absolutely reprehensible, and while I find it unproductive that my social media feeds have turned into echo chambers that just state very obvious things, I don't necessarily disagree with all of the opinions that have cycled through the internet. Like, I want to make that very clear right off the bat. Like, I'm not making this to defend Brock Turner. That said, I don't find any of these views in and of themselves to be worth discussing in the slightest, because most of these opinions are very obvious to me and seem kind of just not very productive. Well, except for one. But there's this new sort of meme that's been kind of going around, and it's essentially people, there's a picture of Brock Turner and then some other person that committed a crime that was either non-violent or that they didn't actually commit, and it's basically like, hey, like, this great person was either A, killed by the police, or B, given a very harsh sentence for a crime that they either did not commit or was non-violent, but Brock Turner was only given 6 months in prison. This is wrong. And the implication of it is usually, so Brock Turner should get as much time as this other person has got, but in my opinion, I think it should actually be the opposite, that this other person should have gotten as much time, as much leniency as Brock Turner was given. I'm not very concerned with Brock Turner's sentencing, how lenient, how not lenient it was. I'm concerned with the sentencing of his counterparts, primarily the ones that they aren't Stanford swimmers, who are portrayed by the media as deranged criminals, who cannot afford good lawyers, who do not have the money or the family to fall back on, who fall into groups and social classes that have been statistically proven to get harsher sentencing. I am concerned because Brock Turner's life may be ruined in a sense, but these other people, their lives will be destroyed once they finish their long prison sentences and are expected to pick up with the rest of their lives, get a job that will hire a felon, and probably end up committing crimes again and end up back in prison. People who simply do not have the resources that Brock Turner had. People who deserve just as much leniency as Brock Turner received. But with that said, I have some optimism about this case. Maybe this will be the case that kind of just, it takes the first step in reforming our justice system. Brock Turner did not want his life ruined by going to prison. He got 6 months in prison instead of 6 years or more than that. Maybe other people could be offered this mercy as well. Maybe this could be the first step in turning our justice system into a more effective system, and this could be the case that gets cited, the case that other lawyers use to ask for the same leniency that Brock Turner was afforded. It has been shown time and time again that the longer you spend in prison, the more likely you're actually to end up back in prison once you get out, especially in a system like the US. So I think that this could be a really good first step, and maybe it's wrong of me that I'm looking at this awful thing and being like, maybe this is the sign that things are getting better, but I've always been an optimist, I suppose. Now, I can see some of you, I'm anticipating the comments, but wait, what if they get a shorter sentence and they go out and they commit crimes again? I'm getting to that, don't you worry. I don't think that, shorter sentences are a solution. I just think that they're a step. They're a very important step. During this last week, I kept on thinking about this story that one of my teachers told one of my classes my senior year of high school. We were talking about the school-to-prison pipeline, and she talked about this one case in which this 19-year-old boy, he murdered his girlfriend, who was also 19 years old, and the parents of the girl who the boy killed, they wanted multiple stipulations on his prison sentences. They wanted to make sure that he got proper counseling. They wanted to make sure that they could see him once a week to basically just check up on his progress and be like, so, are you rehabilitated? Could you possibly enter back into society, once your sentence is over? And they wanted to reform and to rehabilitate him and not just leave him in prison to rot. And I think that if we injected this idea of prison being a place of rehabilitation and just not punishment, just into our culture, I think that we could all feel the way that those parents felt. I think that that as well could really help and like reform and improve our justice system. Like I said before, I really believe that the Brock Turner case, it could be the first step to this. Obviously, I condemn what he did. Of course I do. Like, why wouldn't I? But I see no point in talking about that. There are plenty of other people that have talked about it, and they've all said the same things. They've all said rape is really bad, and I'm like, I agree with you, but there are other things in this case that need to be explored, such as his sentencing, and the fact that his sentencing might not actually be such a bad thing in the very, very long run. Obviously, my condolences, they go out to both families. One, because, their daughter was victimized, and, was fucking raped behind a dumpster, and she most likely is going to have just a lot of issues that she's going to have to work out for the rest of her life. And the other family, because they realize that their child is a rapist, and I can imagine that that is no easy pill to swallow. With all of this said, I hope beyond hope, and this is what I really hope that that the final impact that this case has, that the same leniency and the same sympathy and the same mercy that were afforded to Brock Turner because of his social status, something that he could not control, just as other people's social statuses are out of their control, especially at a young age. His skills, his privilege, all of those things was what created such a lenient sentence, and I hope that that same leniency, it can be afforded to other people in the future. I got 200 subs. That sounds really lame and like really like small, and I guess it kind of is, but I'm kind of stoked on that just because like I did a YouTube channel a while back, and like at its peak it had like 150 subs, and I'd like to think that with this I'm just getting started. But yeah, with that said, if you're not subscribed, and you're probably not, feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more about what I have to say. If you want to hear me do music things, you can find me at apologiesmusic.bandcamp.com, which, by the way, I am working on an EP right now. I think it's pretty sick, so keep your eye out for that. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely day.